That man is playing Galaga.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. Definitely ready to get into some Marvel. Well, how hard was it on a 1 to 10 for you to pick your top 5 Marvels?
About a 4.
Really?
It wasn't really hard for me.
All right. I mean, I got my top 5. I didn't pick any honorable mentions.
A few. When I was looking through it, that I was like, well, I mean, maybe there was 1 or 2 that I could have probably put on the list as well. Because there's a lot of movies to choose from.
There are what 30 something.
Yeah. So it to me, I feel like I narrowed it down the best that it was gonna be. Give or take, number 5 could maybe switch out with a couple different ones.
Okay. Well, I did already hit record.
Sweet.
So you started last time, didn't you?
I have no idea, dude.
All right.
I don't even remember what happened 15 minutes ago, man, let alone.
Okay. All right, dude. You ready to jump into some Marvel?
Let's do some Marvel.
All right. You want to throw out your number 5 first?
Sure, I can do that.
What do you got at your number 5?
Number 5 for me of my 5 favorite MCU movies, Spider-Man No Way Home 2021. That is my number 5. Bringing back Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And the whole way, and we talked a little bit about this last week, the whole way that they hid it from everyone. They were in interviews saying, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not Spider-Man anymore, this and that. For them to show up, man, it had that feeling when I was in the theater. Like, you thought maybe, but you weren't really sure. And I think that the thing about this movie that really got me, besides them showing up, was that scene where Andrew Garfield saved MJ.
Oh my God.
I mean, dude, literally almost had tears in my eyes, because all I could think of, in the way that Andrew Garfield's acting in that scene just through facial emotions was absolutely freaking fantastic. He's holding her and she looks at him like, are you okay? And he kind of does that watery eyed nod. You know what I mean? Because, when he jumped down, you could see his initial reaction when she's falling and, sees that, Tom Holland gets knocked away. He screams no and just dives, because, there he is reliving that moment again, his worst moment, his most tragic moment, and for the people that were aware and had seen the Amazing Spider-Man, dude, that was, you want to talk about bricks in my stomach when that happened, dude. It was just like, oh my God.
And that's the incident where Tom Holland actually spoiled that the other Spider-Man were in it. I don't know if you ever saw that interview.
I did, where he was talking about why get knocked away or something like that. But
no, she's talking. Zendaya was talking about a stunt, and he's like, it's scary. He's like, well, it looked scary. I wasn't there, of course. And everyone's like, really?
Right. He's terrible with that. Mark Ruffalo's not so great with it either. There's a few of the people that just aren't allowed to talk when these Marvel movies come out.
You want to know how bad Tom Holland is? In a funeral scene in a different movie that we're definitely talking about, he wasn't told it was a funeral scene. He was told it was a wedding, so that he couldn't spoil what he was about to go film.
That's great. That's fantastic. I mean, sometimes you have to do that. Dude, and let me just mention this, before we move on. The dynamic between the 3 Spider-Men, I guess you would say at this point, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, especially when they went through Peter 1, Peter 2, and he's like, Peter 3. You know what I mean? Like, it was so good, man. And I think that, and I hate to say this because you hate to compare actors, but dude, when that was over, I was just like, in my mind, and again, I hate to be, negative and stuff like that. I was just like, Andrew Garfield is probably Spider-Man to me at this point. And
He's so good.
I looked at Toby, and growing up, well, it wasn't really growing up because I guess I was, in my late teens when Toby Maguire's Spider-Man came out. But I was just like, dude, if I had to pick a Spider-Man between these three at the end, Andrew Garfield's the one that I want. He's the Spider-Man that I can relate the most with. He's the Spider-Man. Yeah, dude, 100%. Spider-Man No Way Home, number 5 for me. Put it on there, dude. I got you.
Well, first of all, I know, got a gut feeling we're going to be talking about this movie a little bit more, so I saved a lot of my comments.
Okay.
But this movie,
yeah.
critic score 93%.
Hell yeah, dude.
Audience score 98%.
And that's the one I care about. Like critics,
Yeah.
me, like we've talked on past shows. It's like sometimes, Eric, I feel like they can be influenced depending on what company is making this movie.
They can also be influenced on whether or not they got a free entry into an early screening. Like I've heard people who were critics say, it's hard when you get in, you get to walk the red carpet at an early screening of a movie, and you don't want to talk bad about the movie. And it's like, I get it, but also your job, your responsibility is to give an unbiased review. Right. Yeah, dude. I only mentioned it because it's also high. Like if critics rate a movie high, I'll talk about it. Cool.
Yeah.
If they shit on a movie, I don't care.
I mean, unless I still want to know.
Also, yeah, unless the audience.
I still want to know what they say, but the audience is the one that really, for me, it's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and if the audience shits on a movie that the critics rated high, I'm like, okay, maybe it's because those studios were involved.
Yeah,
true. But yeah, man. Like I said, I know we'll talk about this again later, but 98% audience score, and that's over 25,000 reviews.
Fantastic.
My number 1 came out 2012, and that is Marvel's The Avengers, the very first Avengers film.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah.
What can we say bad about this movie, man? I mean, it was the team up that we had all been waiting on since we'd already gotten Captain America, we'd gotten the Hulk, we gotten Iron Man, we gotten all these establishing movies. Now we're just waiting for this team up, and it finally happens, and it is just glorious. Like everything about it. I remember, obviously, I can't go to Comic-Con. That's too rich for my blood.
Right.
But seeing the clips from Hall H at Comic-Con, introducing these people and showing that trailer. I remember watching that damn trailer, and there's that classic, at this point, it's an iconic shot where the camera spins around the Avengers in a circle.
Yeah.
On the streets of New York when they're all getting ready, like, all right, time to go to work. And dude, I get goosebumps still to this day thinking about the first time I saw that
you want to know a secret? I'm always angry,
bro. And that's the thing. Like, I remember Iron Man flying around. I was like, Banner showed up yet? All right, let me know when he does. And you're like, what do you mean? How do you know he's not gonna be there? Then he shows up and he's like, all right, bringing the party to you. And he hulks out. Oh my god, Loki is so underrated at this point. Like, at this point in the Marvel franchise, when this came out, underrated. I think now he's appreciated to the proper amount because he's a damn good character. But when he stood up to the Hulk, it's like, what does he say? He's like, you were beneath me, all of you, and fucking, I'm a god. Fucking the Hulk just grabs him
in the most cartoonish Tom and Jerry way. He like bangs the shit out of him on the ground. It's and so good, dude.
Walks away, puny god.
Yeah.
And you just hear Loki.
Yeah. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this, but the controversy, like when Mark Ruffalo was the Hulk and it wasn't Edward Norton, like, there was a whole thing. I really didn't care. You know what I mean? But there was a whole thing, and not a lot of people knew who Mark Ruffalo was at the time, and it's just like, well, he's got the look, but now I couldn't picture it any other way.
Oh yeah, I love the first two Hulk movies. I do like the
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk with Eric Bana, Edward Norton's movie. But when I go back and watch like the Eric Bana one, I'm just
Mm,
like it's interesting. Like it's so different, and I think that's also a product of the available computer effects at the time.
yeah.
But now, dude, yeah, Mark Ruffalo is the Hulk.
Right.
Um, but yeah, man, just this movie was the kind of the culmination of the first few years, and it's the end of phase one, and it ended with a bang, and you got to see your Earth's mightiest heroes in action, live action together for the first time, and they did not disappoint. So my number five, Marvel's The Avengers. It has got a 91% for both critic and audience scores.
Hell yeah, dude. And let's not forget that was the first time we heard that music too.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
later on became iconic, but that was the first iteration, the
Hmm.
first time that was put in our head. And I always like to talk about scores, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Scores,
You're a big score guy, and that's
they really
nothing
bring
wrong
it
with that.
in. Yeah, they really bring it home for me, man. Seriously. Hell yeah, dude. Great pick, man. Great
Yeah,
pick.
and here's the thing, just setting up expectations for the rest of this list. If that's number five, what could possibly be better than that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
love
that's how
thinking
I
of that.
felt about Spider-Man No Way Home. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
a
dude,
lot
it's
of these
crazy.
a lot of these too that are I feel like there's 10 of these movies that could be on this list in all honesty. I feel like there's a few that didn't make the cut, but they belong on the list. They're great. They're
Oh,
fantastic.
snap.
But a lot of these have, I have a special connection with, so it's great, man.
All right, man. What do you got your number four?
Number 4 to me is perhaps we better start from the beginning. Iron Man 2008, bro. That's my number 4. That's what got me into Marvel, dude. That's what that changed who Iron Man was. Dude, if you look at Iron Man in the comics, it was not what we saw on the screen. It
No,
made
it's not cool.
No, dude, it wasn't cool. And you know what? The look made it cool. And Robert Downey Jr. coming in as freaking Iron Man, the way he played Tony Stark, dude, he was just freaking. He became Tony Stark. You know what I mean? Like real life Tony Stark is Robert Downey Jr. And
Yeah,
not only did he play that role, he embraced it in his life. When you saw him walk the red carpet, bro, it wasn't Robert Downey Jr., it was Tony Stark.
dude, he was Tony Stark. You're absolutely right. He was Tony Stark, and here's the thing: when this came out, I don't think people realize because now like Marvel is a juggernaut, right?
Mhm.
When this came out, Marvel was like fleeting,
Marvel is not a juggernaut without this movie.
and they're not. That's the thing. This movie, they took a chance making this movie,
Yeah.
and now, you know, what 20 years later, not 20, but like 14? No, 16 years
This
later.
was 2008. Iron
16
Man
years ago.
2008.
Yeah,
Yeah.
16 years later,
If
this kicked off the biggest cinematic universe of all time.
and not to mention, if you watch Endgame through the credits, you hear Tony banging that hammer because that's what started it all, dude.
Yep.
Was Tony in the cave making that
With
suit?
a box of scraps.
Tony Stark did this in a cave.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Like when he came out of that cave in that big, I'm like, dude,
The
what the
Iron Man.
like
And I was so happy we got the version one
Buckethead?
Iron Man
You
suit.
got Buckethead,
Dude,
dude, is
I
what we
was
got.
so fucking excited to see that. And oh
And it was
man.
badass, dude. He came out of there, and it's something that you had never really seen on screen. In the comics, it's one thing, dude. In the cartoons, it's one thing. But for him to come out, and then when he gets that suit, him testing it, dude, like the way they
Beautiful
inserted
comedy.
the comedy into that, and he's all tied up in those things, and she comes in, and he goes, "Let's face it, this isn't the worst thing you've caught me doing." You know what I mean?
Poor
It's
Gwyneth
so
Paltrow.
freaking good, dude. It's so good. And then, the callback, and I'll bring this up later on because I'm sure we'll talk about this movie. The
Actually,
callbacks
it's not on my
that
list.
set it up for, and so good, man. Iron Man has to be on my list, dude. If not higher than it is now. But number 4, Iron Man 2008. Got to put the OG on there, brother.
All right, and I'm gonna be honest, man. Like I said, it's not on my list, and this is why I had trouble because
Yeah.
there are a ton of them that could go there.
Oh,
Like there's,
I
we're
said it a
getting,
couple minutes ago. Like there.
yeah. Now we're at that place now where like there's Marvel fatigue, but at this time, Marvel did 2 movies a year. That's all you got,
Yeah.
and that was beautiful. That was perfect because it gave you 6 months or so to miss Marvel and like build up that, hey, I need to go, I can't wait to see what they do next. Whereas now, they with Disney Plus streaming and plus they're doing I think like 4 to 5 movies a year,
Yeah.
plus 2 to 3 shows. There's just too much. There's no desire to see it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, at this point, when this kicked off, I don't think anyone had an idea of how big it was going to be. But yeah, 2008 Iron Man, critic score of 94%, audience score of 91%.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
Hell
just
yeah.
absolutely amazing movie. Could have been on my list. I struggled with it. But no, it's not on my list, man. It didn't make it, but that doesn't change anything about how good it is. My number 4. We're going back 6 years at this point. 2018's Avengers Infinity War.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I remember seeing the trailer for this, and there's one part that stuck out to me. The look on Captain America's face as he used every bit of his power to try to keep Thanos from closing that gauntlet.
Yeah.
And I watch trailer reactions. I love watching people. It's going to sound weird, but I love watching people get excited about movies.
Yeah.
So I love watching trailer reactions. I've watched the trailer reaction to this movie more than any other movie ever because of how hyped people were for this. We're finally getting this big bad villain that they've been teasing for 10 years because they started teasing Thanos from the beginning.
They did, dude, and I don't want to say too much because this may show back up.
Oh, dude, I assume this is gonna show back up, but yeah, dude, like I'll just give my thoughts, and if you want to wait to give yours until it shows up, we'll have
do.
we'll have more discussion at that point. But yeah, man, and the reason this is so high for me, we lose. Like we get to the end of this movie and we lose, and you hear it because Captain America literally says, actually I'm completely blanking on if he says did we win or did we lose, but he addresses it because like you see these people disappear, you see them start fading into oblivion right in front of you, and it is painful to watch.
I forget whether this was a Mark Ruffalo or a Tom Holland spoiler when they were on the talk show and was like, everybody dies. And
I
one of
think
them
it
turned
was
around and was
Ruffalo.
like, what? Like, what did you just say? It
I
was one of them.
I think it was Ruffalo, but
it was one of them.
But man, and you can't talk about this movie without talking about Tom Holland's performance at the end.
It was good.
When he's laying there in Tony's arms and he literally breaks down and is starting to cry, and you oh my god, like it hits you, but just everything, like all of them giving everything they have to try to stop this guy and save the world.
It's almost like proof that Tony Stark has a heart, right?
I 3D printed that. Like I made that entire display that Tony Stark has a heart with the arc reactor that lights up and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't know what else to say about this. I know we're going to talk about it more, so we can bring up anything else at that point. But dude, just an absolutely action-packed movie that still has so much heart in it. And you've grown at this point for the last 10 years to love these characters, and the idea of them just being gone kills you. But you see it. I mean, you see Bucky disappear. Um, you see Groot and how Rocket reacts to Groot disappearing.
Yeah.
Oh
A
my
lot of
god!
emotions at the end of this one.
And we lose, and we don't get a resolution to this until the following year.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not like today where we would get this movie, then fucking 5-6 weeks later we're gonna have the next part. No, like, dude, we had to wait with this, and you feel your savior coming with Thor.
Yeah.
Thor hits him with the fucking Stormbreaker.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my god, yes, we got it. And he fucking snaps his finger. And then, you can't even, I didn't even touch on fucking Wanda and Vision, where she literally has to destroy Vision so that he can't get the fucking Infinity Stone from his head.
Yeah.
And she goes through that pain and she's living it. And then he's like, okay. Just turns back fucking time.
Yeah. Just
takes it.
grabs that
So
clock.
not only does she have to live through destroying the man she loves, it was all for nothing.
And she has to see it again.
Yeah. Dude, this movie, can't say enough good things about it. We'll talk about it more. A critic score of 85%, the lowest so far, and an audience score of 92%. 2018's Avengers Infinity War. It's my number 4.
Fantastic movie, man. I love it.
All right, what do you got for number 3?
Number 3, I gotta go with my boy, dude. And this movie, to me, it kind of flipped the script a little bit. You didn't get the same formula with it, and I think it's one of the reasons why I love it so much. And it had a darker tone. It was even more of it kind of felt like a Mission Impossible movie a little bit. I absolutely love it, dude. My favorite Captain America movie, The Winter Soldier, is number 3. The way they introduced Bucky coming back, dude, he was a freaking savage. And I was a little disappointed with the way his character moved forward after this, because that version of the Winter Soldier, to me, it's almost like he got weaker as Marvel moved on. You know what I mean? Like, Bucky was badass, but he wasn't ever as badass as he was in the Winter Soldier. I was genuinely nervous when Captain America was fighting him.
Yeah.
Like, this dude
he legitimately wanted to kill him.
The music that would play when he was on screen, when Cap finds out Bucky's back, like the emotions attached to it. Even the beginning, dude, when he's fighting I almost said Jean-Claude Van Damme, George St. Pierre, like, dude, all of this just felt like it didn't feel like that typical Marvel formula going into it. It felt different and it felt badass. And I think that this is the most badass that Cap has ever been. And I think it set the tone for who his character was moving forward. Like, this, to make that decision, you know what I mean, between saving the day and saving your friend, and you get the end of this where Bucky pulls him out of the water. You know that there's still something left there.
There's still a little bit of Bucky left in the Winter Soldier.
Still something there, man.
And there was a big kind of people had a little bit of an objection. Did you ever watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the TV show?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, actually, you know what? It wasn't Captain America and the Winter Soldier till the end. It was oh gosh, what was his name? The Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I did watch that show.
Yeah, the Falcon and Winter. Well, I don't know if you caught it, but at the end, it didn't end as Falcon and Winter Soldier. It ended with the title Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Because by the end, people were actually pretty, like, they objected to it that Bucky was still the Winter Soldier because they wanted him to. He's got another character. Bucky Bucky is a different character in the comics as well. He plays more than one character. And they're like, well, he had all this growth as well. Why didn't he get, I want to say it's like maybe the White Wolf or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and it is talked about in Infinity War.
Yeah, when he's with the Wakandans.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So people, but that was a thing because they're like, Bucky has grown so much. Why is he still the Winter Soldier? Like, people acknowledged he's not the same guy, and you can't ignore it. He's not the same guy now as he was in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
and I mean, dude, a lot of people give the first Captain America shit. I absolutely love the first Captain America movie.
I do too.
But a lot of people give it, they do. They it's not that good. Yes, it is, man. It's good. Dude, regardless, number 3, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This is a movie that I could throw on freaking anytime. I love this one. I love this one. The tone of this is so much darker than anything that the MCU did. And being the DC guy that I am, dude, I appreciated it so much. Like it had that tone, man. It had that tone and the music to go with it. That score was fantastic. I absolutely love this movie.
And one aspect of it that I want to bring up that happens in Captain America: Winter Soldier that is kind of kicked off in I believe it's in the Avengers. But I think it's one of the reasons we get a little bit of a darker tone is Cap really starts to distrust the government he's representing.
Yeah.
Because we get these fucking helicarriers that are going to take out people. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the right movie. They do blend a little bit, but am I right? That is Winter Soldier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's starting to distrust him, and that is kind of kicked off.
It really comes into play in Civil War.
Oh, really? In Civil War, yeah. But like it was kicked off a little bit in the Avengers because you see Tony when they all get on the helicarrier, with Bruce and everything.
Take off that suit. What are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Yeah. So good.
The best part of you was made in a lab.
That man is playing Galaga.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. Dude, but yeah, and Tony hacks in and starts like getting all their secrets and stuff like that. Yeah. And that seed is planted, and I think that's one of the reasons there's a darker tone in Winter Soldiers, because Captain America is like, I don't know if you represent what I represent, and starts going off on that darker path. Yeah, man, absolutely amazing movie. Critic score 90%, audience score 92%.
Hell yeah, man.
Dude,
Hell
absolutely baller movie. And that was your number 3, right?
Number 3.
My number 3, we're going to be visiting a very well-known character, Captain America: The First Avenger.
See, dude, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Dude, I had it as my number 3. I like.
Somebody get this man a sandwich,
dude. I love Iron Man, the first Iron Man. It is amazing, and I say that word a lot, but it truly is amazing. But if you told me to pick an Avengers, one of the first Avenger movies to watch, Captain America every time.
Dude, it's so
the
good.
Story, how it plays out, like for lack of a better word, tenacity that he has, just, and he's such a good person. That's the thing. You're seeing all this, and Steve Rogers is now, Captain America, but at this point he's not Captain America, he's Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And he's fighting like he's Captain America.
Yeah.
And
can do this all day.
The part that always gets me, and it may be overused, it may be cliche, but when Tommy Lee Jones is having the conversation with oh gosh, what's the doctor's name? He's played by Stanley Tucci.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Erskine. Tommy Lee Jones is having the conversation with Erskine about Hodge. Like, we're gonna pick Hodge. He's a dedicated soldier. He passed all the tests. He's the one to get the serum. And and Erskine says something about him not being a good person, and Tommy Lee Jones says something. He's like, "You don't win wars by being nice," and he pops the freaking lever on that dummy grenade and throws
Yep.
it. Of course, we don't know it's a dummy grenade, and as soon as he does, you see Hodge dive out of the way like a little bitch, and fucking Bucky, or not Bucky, but Steve jumps on that thing. It'd
Right.
probably still kill everyone because there's not enough of him there to
Right.
stop it, but he was gonna try, and he dove on that grenade, just yelled for everyone to get back like it was nothing. And at that point, I'm like, that's the hero that the Avengers needs to lead.
Yeah.
And God, it's just such a wonderful movie. And when he steps out of that fucking chamber as Captain America, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And dude, I remember when he's chasing the dude and the dude throws a little kid in the water and he goes up to save him. The kid's like, go get him. I can swim.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the fuck? And seeing how he puts his like abilities to use. Like he never uses his abilities for his own personal like gain or entertainment or anything.
Right.
His entire life is just like on a path to help people. That's all it is. And it's just, man, everything about it. Absolutely love the movie. Of course, we got Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull, an amazing villain. We get the Howling Commandos with Neil McDonough and Derek Luke. Dude, it was, and of course we lose Bucky. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a shitty part of it, but we lose Bucky, setting us up for Winter Soldier. So, dude, it's just I cannot say enough good things about this movie. Like I said, if you told me, hey, let's watch one of the original Avengers movies, like their origin movie, it's Captain America: The First Avenger every time.
It's fantastic. It is a fantastic movie, and I hate that people give it crap. I love it.
It's the lowest rated one that we've talked about so far. It's got a
Yeah, they
critic
don't know what
score
they're
of
talking about.
80 and a audience score of 75.
See, that's dude. No, it's a 90 movie for me, dude.
Oh yeah,
100%.
it's easily in the 90s for me as well.
Yeah.
But there you go, man. That's my number 3, Captain America: The First Avenger.
Hell yeah, man. Great pick, dude. Great pick. Number 2 for me, is the Avengers Endgame, 2019. This movie to me, dude, was the perfect ending movie for phase 3.
It's
Uh,
perfect ending movie for the MCU.
it,
Let's be honest.
we could have been done. You know what I mean? Like,
If they had ended it there,
yeah,
no one would have been disappointed.
nobody would have been disappointed, and the run would still be talked about. They would just be like, dude, that was the best run of movies. The way they brought it together. And people would always want it to come back. But let's say that it ended. Let's say that they didn't make a movie after that. Yes, people would still be talking about, we want to bring it back. But if they knew what it came back as, I don't really know if they'd want it, man. I honestly do not think, the direction that they're heading with this. I myself am not a fan of. I haven't liked an MCU movie in a while. And if
With
I
the
have
exception of
it,
No Way Home.
right, and if I have liked it, I thought it was okay. I didn't really. Nothing has made me sit back and say, "Wow." The only one that has really been on par for me with some of these was Guardians 3. I think that was decent. I thought it was good. It still had that feeling. Not that it would have made this top 5 list, but it just lost that spark, man.
Lost
It
that
just
love and feeling.
well, yeah, and I mean,
You
I think it has
lost
a lot
that
to do with
love.
losing Black Widow, Captain America, and Iron Man. Man, I honestly do. I think that they brought that together. I mean, the Hulk is kind of displaced at the moment. We've seen him in She-Hulk, and they kind of made him look really weak, and it's just what they're doing, man. Like they're just not. It doesn't feel like it used to feel, and not that I can't embrace change. Believe me, I've embraced a ton of change, But the thing that made it special, it's just not there anymore. And I feel like the MCU is trying to push an agenda more than they are trying to make good movies at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows with their films. I watched the Marvels probably about 3 weeks ago. There's a lot of people that were like, oh, it's terrible, it's this and that. And it's like, you know what? I like to make up my own mind. I haven't watched an MCU movie in a while. Why don't I sit back and watch the Marvels? And I did. And the feeling I got when it was over was, well, that happened. I don't know if you've seen it, the Marvels.
No, I saw bits and pieces, but it was one that, yeah, just
Well,
never.
at the end, there's they throw in something, right, to kind of be to make you go, oh, like look at what's going on here. They bring somebody special into the movie. But when that happened, I just didn't care. I should have cared, because it was awesome, but I didn't, and that's a test to the movie. Like it had little things at the end where it's like, the whole I'm forming a team. I just didn't care. I did not care whatsoever. And Captain Marvel's, I'm not a big fan, but the supporting characters, I did enjoy the younger one. But
Miss Marvel.
yeah, it just, dude, it's just, I felt like I said, dude, I just felt like it was pushing more of an agenda than it was trying to be a good movie. And you can't do that and expect great results. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Avengers Endgame. We're talking about time travel, baby. We're talking about the time heist. Dude, I love this movie. I do. It was fantastic. It was one of those movies that was really long, but when I was in the theater, I was just like, yeah, man, let's keep going. Let's keep it going. The fact that it was, so many years later afterwards, you weren't expecting that at the beginning. It was
4-year
just like,
time jump.
it was just like, you see, they get the Thanos, Captain Marvel's there to help them. Thor went for the head, it happened. And the last thing I was expecting was the scene to change and it say 4 years later. And I'm just like, holy shit, what are we doing here? Like what just happened? Like I was expecting resolution through this movie. And the fact that we just went 4 years, like we literally, this whole movie was just because a rat decided to step on a button.
Yep.
If that rat never jumps on there, none of this ever happens.
Nope.
And let me ask you this, because I've never really had this conversation. The security guard that is watching uh
The
Ant-Man
storage
come out,
unit.
yeah, was that Leslie Chow?
Was it?
I don't know. I think it might have been, dude. I think it might have been.
Hold on. I'll.
But did you die? Fucking love Leslie Chow. While you're looking that up, I'll keep going with this. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just in case, I don't want to do too much. Just, is this on your list?
This is coming back up, man. We're
Okay,
talking about
that's
this
what I
again.
thought. That's what I thought. And we can both get into it then. So let me just go ahead and wrap this up short. So when we do get to it, we can both throw our stuff on there. Number 2 for me, Avengers Endgame. Absolutely fantastic finale to what, all these movies leading up to it. The end, dude, come on. There's so much, I can talk about. But number 2 for me, Avengers Endgame 2019.
It got a critic score of 95 or 94, sorry,
Yeah.
and an audience score of 90.
Hell yeah. It had to be in the 90s, dude. Like
That is Leslie Chow
I
as a
knew it.
security guard.
I knew it.
That
I
is Leslie
knew
Chow.
it.
It's Ken Jeong.
When I was sitting in the theater, I was like, but did you die? I
But did
love
you
Leslie Chow.
die?
Yes, I love Leslie Chow. We may talk about Leslie Chow next week.
I'm not gonna say what we talked about it in the last one. I'm not gonna say what the
Yes,
category is.
but we may. He has made appearances on my channel.
I mean, you know what? You can't say that he doesn't fit, I guess. Oh my god. All right, man. Moving to my number two.
You're number two.
My number two, we already talked about it a little bit. Spider-Man: No Way Home, bro. This was a combination, in my opinion, even longer than Endgame. Because yeah, Endgame kicked off in 2008 with Iron Man. However, No Way Home kicked off with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies. And that when did that first one come out?
The first
2002.
The
So
first.
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yes. I was in the military.
Yeah, man. Like I said, 2002, and this came out in 2022,
21.
21. So 19 years, 19 years of buildup to get this movie, and we got all three live action Spider-Man from the movies on screen at the same time. We got like the best performance of the Green Goblin I think we'll ever get on screen by Willem Dafoe.
So good to see him back, wasn't it?
And man, just there's so much about this movie that we could literally have an entire 2-hour podcast on just it. But when he gets to the very end of this movie, and you know, there some people have brought up like some movie mistakes or some like logic errors with the resolution of the movie. I don't care about any of that.
Yeah.
When he has to go up and tell his friends, "You're gonna forget I ever existed."
Yeah.
But it's the only way to make this world safe. And he has to deal with that heartbreak. He's got his two essentially brothers at this point, with Toby and Andrew Spider-Man. He has to say goodbye to them. He lost his Aunt May. We finally get with great power comes great responsibility. And he goes through with it. No one knows who Spider-Man or Peter Parker is anymore.
Yeah.
And then you see at the very end, he's walking into that coffee shop. And you see MJ, and I'm totally blanking on his friend's name.
Do you know God. Oh, come on, Michael.
Ned.
Thank you.
You see MJ and Ned in there, and they're happy talking about getting into their schools, and you can just tell he's not going to do it. He's not going to talk to them because he knows their lives are going to be a lot less dangerous if he doesn't kick that relationship back off. And he walks away from essentially the last two people he loves in this world to go off on his own because he knows their life will be better without him. And then he sees Happy at Aunt May's grave, and Happy doesn't know who he is. Man, just the sacrifices he made.
Yeah.
He went from the quirky, funny teenager Spider-Man that we know to
a hero,
an actual fucking hero, man.
Yeah.
And you see him swinging away at the very end over toward fucking. If you pay attention to the address, it's actually an Easter egg for oh god, what's his name? Kingpin. It's actually Kingpin's apartment, and that classic suit. Like, he doesn't have the Iron Man tech anymore.
Right.
He's going traditional classic Spider-Man suit, and it's just the ending of that film. Like I said, a culmination of movies since 2002.
Yeah,
and it was just beautiful having all three Spider-Man on screen at the same time. Just, I could rewatch this any day. But I sob up a little bit, man. At the end, I start getting a little teary-eyed.
Yeah. And I hate to bring this up again, Eric, but Andrew Garfield in this movie, dude.
It's just...
yeah. Like, wow. I almost feel like he stole the show, dude.
A little bit. A little bit. And I love how much love Andrew Garfield has for the character as well.
Yeah.
Like anytime you hear him talk, you talk about this, he'll say in some way, Toby was my Spider-Man. And
Yeah.
and even talking about this movie coming back, he's like, once I found out Toby was going to be in it, I didn't even need to read a script. If Toby's coming back to do it, I'm going to do it. And you're absolutely right, man. The way he talked to, like, something simple while they were working on they're devising a plan to try to save everyone. Because that's the thing. Doctor Strange, Doctor Strange wanted to kill them all, like send them all right back to the moment before their deaths and their reality. No help whatsoever. Peter wasn't about that. Nope. Peter's like, they're bad, but they have an opportunity to change. We can help them. And they're working on trying to help everyone. And Ned is talking to him and asks them about their best friend. And yeah, he tried to kill me. And then you hear fucking Toby, like, my best friend died in my arms after he tried to kill me. And dude, all of them have this amazing, but then there's comedy to it too. Your webs come out of your body. Just so I don't do it. It's like I don't do breathing. I just breathe. It's fucking a good movie, man. It's just, that's all there is to say about it. We already talked about it earlier. So 93% critic score, 98% audience score. That's my number 2, man. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh yeah.
We've reached the number 1 spot.
Yeah, number 1 for me, dude. And we've already talked about it.
I know what it is.
It's Avengers Infinity War. That was number 1 for me, dude. That's my go back to. That's my favorite one to go back to. We talked about a lot of the reasons why. And there's one scene in particular that probably got me more hype than two scenes that got me more hype than almost anything else in the MCU that ever happened. One, where Vision and Wanda are fighting and Cap shows up and the train's going and you just hear Cap's music and he's standing there in the dark and it's just like, dude, you want to throw your hands up somewhere. It's just like, oh my God, dude. You hear that dun 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 dun, and it's just like, holy shit, this is freaking awesome.
He steps out with the beard,
with the freaking beard,
and like the tattered suit a little bit. Oh, dude.
Yeah, and they come in whooping ass, dude. Black Widow's whooping ass, Falcons whooping, dude. They just beat the hell out of these guys. Fantastic. The other is when Thor hits the Bifrost and lands in the middle of the battle, dude. They're losing.
I see you copied my beard.
Yeah, they're losing, and all of a sudden you see the Bifrost, and it hits the middle of the battlefield, and that Stormbreaker just comes whipping through and cleaning everything up. He jumps up in the air, lightning in the eyes, lightning around him, hits the ground. Boom, it's a totally different fight. It is a totally different fight at that point. He bring me Thanos. You know what I mean? But he hasn't fought me a third time. He hasn't beat me twice. That's what he said. He hasn't beat me twice.
What kind of weapon? The Thanos killing kind.
Yeah. Shouldn't we all have one of those? He says something like, "Oh, your bones will break, your mind will shatter." All those things.
Yeah.
So much with this movie, dude. As they go piece by piece through the beginning of this, I don't remember cheering more for introductions than I did when the music started and you see the Guardian ship. And they're saying, it's just like, dude, it's all coming together. Like, it has come together in the first Avengers. You had the movies, come together. Age of Ultron, it did, but there was just something about this one because it was more.
Oh yeah, you're getting more characters.
You're just getting more of it brought into the fold. Like, because at this point, you look at like Thor, you look at the Hulk, you look at Iron Man, you look at all those as being the central characters of the Avengers. They're not introducing them anymore. You know what I mean? If it's an Avengers movie, they are in it. Like, that they're there. But when you start seeing the other people coming in, it's just like, man, this is so freaking good. Dude, this movie, we talked about it ending on such a downer. And that to me for something to be a fantastic, believe me, Endgame, my number 2, dude, fantastic. It was something to be said about Infinity War when it's over, you just not really knowing. You not really knowing what's gonna
Heartbreaking,
happen
bro.
next, dude. You didn't get that closure. And for someone that has OCD like me, dude, that's a nightmare. Well, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, this is it? Like this? I remember people being pissed in the theater, watching their favorite superhero just melt away.
Just die.
Watching them. There was this lady behind me, and when Black Panther melted away, she lost her shit. I mean, literally lost her shit. And I just turned around and smiled. I said, "Don't worry, they'll be back. They gotta be back, right?
And Tony's fucking stuck on some planet
Dude,
somewhere.
you just don't know. It ends like where Empire Strikes Back us is what it did.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it
That's
did.
why you love it so much. That's why it's your number
Empire
one.
Strike backed us. And I couldn't have loved it more, man. This movie to me, dude, you get to see the Hulk. He gets his ass beat of epic proportions by Thanos. And I mean, Thanos didn't even use the stones. He just flat out had better striking skills. Like, literally, there were no powers involved. He just whooped they threw fisticuffs, and the Hulk was not coordinated enough to beat Thanos. It was like watching Tyson box an infant.
Or Tyson box Jake Paul.
Yeah, but like 23-year-old Tyson box Jake Paul. Like, there was no Hulk didn't have it. Like, if you watch fighting at all, you could watch Thanos throw those first 2 punches and be like, "Oh, he's fucked." Like, there was no coordination whatsoever. The Hulk relies on brute force, and that's one of the reasons why I know that Superman will kick the hell out of the Hulk. Like, there's no way the Hulk is ever touching him. Thanos whooped that ass of epic proportion. Then you watch Loki die, and you watch Loki die in a way that you feel like, holy shit, this is it this time. And Thanos even says, no resurrections this time. Like, he's done for. And Loki would be dead if it wasn't for them fucking up the time heist. You know what I mean? Like, they literally screwed that up. Like, you couldn't have done that, any worse. But yeah, man, Avengers Infinity War. This is my all time right here. Hell yeah.
It's a great fucking movie. We read them earlier, but just in case, 85% critic score, 92% audience score.
Hell yeah.
Damn good movie. Damn good number one.
Earth is closed, Squidward.
Earth is closed today. Go.
And how about seeing Doctor Strange and Robert Downey Jr. together, dude? Like, it was Sherlock Holmes versus Sherlock Holmes. It was great. I was just waiting for one of them to say, "No shit, Sherlock."
Joe, everyone was fucking waiting on it, or one of them to say it's elementary.
Yes, something along those lines. Missed opportunity.
Really, really so. Damn good number one. My number one, also one we've talked about, Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, dude. I see it.
It is the conclusion to the MCU, in my opinion. Like, we still got movies, and it is the conclusion of the Infinity Saga. That's what they referred. 1, 2, phase 1, 2, and 3 was the Infinity Saga. 4, 5, and 6 is the Multiverse Saga, I believe.
Yeah.
And then 7, 8, 9, I believe they're calling them the I forget what they're calling the next ones, but they've already announced some of the movies. But yeah, we're currently well within the Multiverse Saga.
I know Secret Wars is one of the Avengers coming up.
Secret Wars that's slated for I think
26 or 27.
Yeah. 27, yeah. Fantastic Four's 2000. And that's the thing, man. They're doing so many movies now. That's the problem. They're doing 3 to 4 movies a year.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about our favorites. And my number one, Avengers Endgame. When where do I start with this movie?
I didn't go into it too much because I knew we were going to go into it, dude. But you have to talk about, everybody coming back. And on your left, On your
But
left.
before that, you
Oh my
gotta
god.
you gotta talk about Captain America picking up Thor's hammer.
Yeah. That was
That
confirmation to something that was believed in Age of Ultron.
when you saw it move and you saw the fear in Thor's eyes,
Yeah.
like nothing. And according to the directors and writers, Captain was able to pick up the hammer at that point, but he didn't,
just didn't. Yeah.
because there was no point to it.
Well, he knew what it'd do to Thor.
Exactly. So Captain America, you're seeing Thor get the absolute shit beat out of him by Thanos.
And Fat Thor. You know what I mean? Like that was one of the things that pushed this one to number 2 instead of number 1 for me. Like I
Honestly,
wasn't a huge fan of it.
For me, it's a positive.
Okay.
You know why? When he goes back to oh gosh, why am I blanking on Thor's home? Where's Thor from? What's the name of his world?
Oh, Asgard.
Yeah, when Thor goes back to Asgard and we get Reen Russo back, we get his mom back.
Yeah, so good.
And she sees him and she's like, "You're not the Thor I know at all."
Totally from the future.
And he knows what's about to happen to her, but he can't do shit about it. And he's standing there, and right before they get the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And they're about to leave, and he's like, "Wait one moment," because he knows. And in this timeline, Mjolnir's still here, and he holds his hand out, and it flies to him, and like the kind of happiness in his eyes when he says, "I'm still worthy." He's lost everything at this point. And yeah, we make jokes about it, like he's fat and all this, and haha. Bro's dealing with the death of half of the world.
I don't think it's the fact that he's fat. He's just broken. You know what I mean?
And he's fat because he's broken. That's
right.
the thing. That's a totally realistic thing to happen to people.
Yes, definitely.
And I appreciated the fact that they did that, but then they also showed, if they hadn't shown the "I'm still worthy" part, I wouldn't have been on board with it as much. But because they showed, hey, you failed at saving the world.
Yeah.
And you got, you gained weight. You've been depressed. But you are still worthy. That is a beautiful thing, in my opinion. So that's actually a positive for me. But Thor's getting his ass handed to him by Thanos. He's trying everything he can. And you just see you see that hammer lift off the ground, and the entire audience erupts. And you see it fly and hit Thanos and fly back, and Cap catches it in that fucking pose like, "You're fucked now." Yeah. Oh my God, goosebumps. I got literal goosebumps talking about this, man. And I also like to watch audience reactions from theaters when people take, there's some like promotional things where they'll put like official cameras in the theater, but there's others where people just take their phone out and record. The audience reaction for Endgame is one of the,
I've seen it, yeah.
It's one of the biggest audience reactions I've ever seen in my life. And just so Cap being worthy to wield Mjolnir and fucking decimate Thanos, because he does. He's going after Thanos hard.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, fucking on your left. But
yeah.
Right before that, just a few seconds before that, is one of the things that makes Captain America the best Avenger, in my opinion. He had no shot at defeating Thanos by himself.
Tighten that shield, and he's like, "Let's go."
Yeah, and the shield's fucking broken. Half of it's missing. He's bleeding. He's exhausted. He's got no help whatsoever. It's just him. But he's pretty much like, if I've got life in me, you've got to fight on your hands. And that, to me, that point, he's like, "I'm going back in. I don't care if I die. I have to try." And that's when you get the on your left. But it's the fact he had no idea help was coming. And bro, that to me was that hit. But then you fucking hear "on your left," and you see fucking Black Panther walk out of that first portal, and shit just goes fucking bonkers from there, man. Oh my God. And we haven't talked about Wanda that much. But dear God, Wanda Maximoff, when she goes up to Thanos and she's like, "You took everything from me." And he's like, "I don't even know who you are." And she's just like, "You will." She comes closer to killing Thanos than anyone ever has or probably will in the MCU. I mean, he's dead now, so it doesn't matter. But so it's true. If he hadn't have called down a fucking firestorm of
Rain, fire. Yeah.
yeah, if he hadn't have called that down, she would have killed him. Like he was willing to risk his own people to save his own life because he knows if I don't do something, she's gonna kill me. And just seeing her by herself, like she doesn't have any help. No one else is fighting Thanos at that moment. She's just using her power and like squeezing the life out of him. And oh god, man, I'm blabbering on and on. You want to throw anything in here before I get to my final points?
Oh no, man. Go ahead and wrap it up, dude.
Dude,
You hit everything.
First of all, seeing Spider-Man come back, everyone was like, "Oh, thank God," because you're worried about all of them, honestly. But Spider-Man's a kid. Spider-Man's a fucking kid at this point, and seeing him come back, everyone's like, "All right, we're good. We're good. The kid's alive." And then seeing like when he goes up to fucking Tony, and Tony just grabs him in a hug. He's like, "Oh, okay, this is nice, dude." It's a beautiful moment. Like so much heart within the little pieces of this action. Now I'm gonna mention the only negative I have about this movie, and I don't know how you'll feel about it. What you said about Infinity War and Hulk getting his ass kicked by Thanos, you are absolutely right. And the reason, uncoordinated, all that jazz, because he's the Hulk. He's not thinking. He's a brainless bull in a chime shop. Well, they resolved that. We got Hulk. We got a thinking Hulk. Like it's Bruce in Hulk form. The fact that we did not get Hulk Thanos round 2 is the biggest missed opportunity because there's a direct quote from Thanos in the comic books where he says he's fought so many Avengers, he's not scared of any of them, but he hates fighting Hulk the most.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we didn't get that.
Well, I mean, just the mere fact, and it was one of my disappointments about Infinity War. I mean, I see what they were doing, but at the time, because you saw the Hulk and Wakanda in the trailer before the movie. You saw him running with everybody else, but it was a lie. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't really there. So they showed, to kind of, lead you in a different direction. So, you didn't know all the answers going into Infinity War when it came out. So seeing the trailer, you feel like Bruce is going to figure this out through this movie because, in the trailer, the Hulk was in Wakanda and he was fighting. But, that was just something they did with smoke and mirrors, so you would think one thing and get something else. So yeah, man, definitely. I would like to see them, even in Endgame, they didn't go head to head.
And that's what I'm talking about in
Yeah.
Endgame, because now you got Bruce who's thinking, it's Bruce in Hulk form. So he knows fight strategy. He knows stuff like that.
He does, but he's also got a gimpy arm too.
And that's the thing, he didn't have to have that.
Right.
Like that was a strategic decision.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the only negative. I'm going to get that out of the way now before I talk about the final point, which is the snap. We all know, we know what happened at the snap, and it was a beautiful ending to that story.
The perfect person to do it, did it. Like that to me. The one who started it ended it.
Yeah,
with Tony snapping the finger, saying the classic Iron Man line from the original Iron Man.
We didn't even talk about fucking Avengers Assemble.
We
finally fucking got Avengers Assemble, and like the fucking pause between like Avengers, and then you hear the fucking hammer. You see it show up, and you're like, "Oh God!" When he said a symbol, I don't know about the theater you were at, but the theater I was at, we probably registered on the fucking Richter scale. We were so damn loud, like but yeah, hearing him say that, and it goes right back to the first Avengers movie when Captain America says it. He says, "You're not the guy you're not the hero. You're not the guy to make that call to lay your life on the line." And he ends it.
Yeah,
he does. He jumps on that grenade.
yeah.
And
And I
that's
mean, it's heartbreaking to see Spider-Man with him, and
oh
then
my God.
Pepper.
And then Pepper, you can rest now.
Yeah, sad,
Oh, dude,
sad.
it's hitting me now. Like my eyes are getting a little watery. I'm like, oh God. Ooh. And then fucking Happy when he's talking to Tony's daughter afterward.
I'll get
He's
you
like,
all the cheeseburgers you
you
want.
hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want? Cheeseburgers. Your dad liked cheeseburgers too. I'll get you all the cheeseburgers you want. Yeah. Oh, geez, Jesus Christ.
Whew. Even proof that Tony Stark has a heart floating down the river there, man.
Yeah, a little bit of a Viking style funeral.
Yeah. And all the people that attended. You had everybody there.
You had the little kid from part 3 there.
Yes, you did. And a lot of people didn't know who that was.
Yeah, it was the kid who helped him in part 3. And that's the scene I was talking about, by the way. Tom Holland was told that was a wedding.
Yeah. I knew right away when you said that.
Yeah. But man, just and then seeing the video he recorded, I love you. What is 3,000, 5,000?
I love you 5,000. I want to say it's 5,000.
Yeah, but just seeing that, oh my God, it hits you. It hits you, and then that directly affects the following movies. But I, with one maybe two exceptions, we hadn't gotten anything of Endgame quality since then, and I don't think we ever will.
Or wait, it was 3,000.
Yeah, it was. I think I love you 3,000.
Yeah, it was 3. I'm sitting here thinking the whole time you're talking. I'm like, is it 5,000 or is it 3,000? It's 3,000.
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. I was like, it's either 3 or 5, but yeah. Oh, dude, that and seeing like there's so many little things, dude. There's so many when Captain goes back to get the Pym particles, and sees Peggy.
Yeah. Ton of emotion wrapped up. Well, you had so many stories that you had to close out in this movie.
And they did it perfectly.
They did it great.
If you try to talk about all the stuff you have to fit into this 3 hours, you're like, there's no way they can do it. But they do.
Mm-hmm.
And you see fucking
it's the Russo brothers, man.
You see Tony goes back and talk to his dad.
Yeah. Gets that closure.
Oh my God. And fucking Cap when he goes to return all the Infinity Stones back to the proper timelines.
Yeah.
And you see him show up and pass on the shield.
God. How does it feel? It feels like it's somebody else's. It's not.
It's not. Do you want to tell me about her? No, I don't think I will.
That's Cap, dude. Like that's freaking Cap. But I mean, the endings like that and what they do with Endgame, they still leave it open to time travel being possible to bring these characters back if need be.
I'm almost certain we'll see Tony Stark again.
They want to start making money again. You better start throwing the house at Robert Downey Jr.
You're not going to get to like Iron Wars. Wait, is that one of them that's coming back or something like that? Armor Wars. You're not getting Armor Wars without fucking Tony Stark making a cameo.
Unless you, through the multiverse movies, especially with like Deadpool and Wolverine coming up, Deadpool 3, because from what I understand, it's all about multiverses that you get other Iron Men and other Caps and other,
Well, there's a theory that you're going to get Tom Cruise as an Iron Man.
That's been a theory for a very long time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a theory that now that we officially have this, is possible.
Yeah, yeah, it's possible. I mean, you saw that in Doctor Strange, where you had Jim from The Office as Reed Richards. You had a whole bunch of Fantastic Four. Their whole Avengers team was different.
And they had Rambo as Captain Marvel, and then you didn't have Captain America. You had Captain Carter.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and but that's still a relatively new movie. So I think they needed time to establish that before they bring it out. But there's always been that rumor. You're right, but I think it's more possible now than it's ever been because that's something to bring in money, and they're desperately trying to get asses in seats now because
Let
their
me ask
movies
you
are
this
not doing
though:
well.
would you really want to see any other Iron Man than Robert Downey?
Only if Robert Downey Jr. is interacting with them. Like if you told me, hey, you're gonna get Tom Cruise's Tony Stark, I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I'll go see it.
Yeah.
But if I see Tom Cruise Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark talking together,
that's cool.
I would fucking love that.
Yeah.
To see that, but I wouldn't hate seeing another direction because it's not going to be the same, but it's not supposed to be.
Right.
That's a big thing we've been talking about.
If it is, then it cheapens Endgame.
Yeah, yeah. It's not supposed to be the same thing, and if you try to, say, "Oh, this is Tony Stark," he just comes from somewhere else, and it's like he's just trying to replicate Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, there you go. There's top 5 Marvel movies.
What a great show, man! I had a blast today.
It makes me want to go rewatch some Marvel movies. I'm not gonna lie. All right, man. Dude. This has been awesome. We will be back next week with. Do we want to say the topic again, or do we want to keep the Chow joke going?
I don't care, man.
Next week's biggest movie villain, top 5 movie villains, not horror or anything like that, just antagonists.
Yeah,
of all time. Thank you all for listening. If you're still here, we'll be back next week. If you haven't checked out the previous episodes, please do so. We've got a lot more content like this in the past couple episodes. We'll have even more coming up next week. So, have a great week, everyone. Peace.
Take care. Peace.